everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be speaking about what people like myself mean when they talk about being healed and healing before entering into a relationship. Because something I'm noticing happening is this false idea that healing is a destination and that there is any such thing as being healed or fully healed, which is incorrect. So I wanted to clarify what people like myself really mean when we talk about being healed before entering into relationships. So healing is absolutely a journey, not a destination. As long as you are alive, you will be healing, and you will be also acquiring new wounds and insecurities and patterns that you will have to heal, because obviously acquiring wounds and things is like a side effect of being alive, and it's so necessary for the progression of your consciousness and your evolution in life. So it's so necessary to be acquiring new wounds. Now, what people like myself mean when we talk about healing before entering into a relationship is that when we begin our conscious healing journey, so usually after we've been through things like karmic relationships and we've had our major wounds being triggered, and it's catalyzed our awakening and brought us back to a conscious relationship with ourselves, we reach a level of awareness with self and with our wounds, our patterns, our insecurities, and therefore our triggers, that we are able to now have connections where we are no longer unconsciously projecting them outward onto the other person. You are now taking responsibility for them, and this is the stage of healing we are encouraging you to reach before you enter into relationships. Because until you reach this stage of self-awareness, where you are aware of your major wounds, insecurities, and therefore triggers and your negative patterns, it is very unlikely that you are going to be able to have a relationship with somebody without constantly unconsciously projecting these things onto the other person. Because when we are unconscious of our wounds, we naturally project them outward. They are naturally unconsciously triggered, okay? So this is the stage of healing we are encouraging you and ourselves to reach before entering into relationships. We usually enter adulthood with a few major wounds that have usually resulted from childhood and also ancestral traumas that we have to heal, like, for example, abandonment wounds. And when we enter adulthood, most people are unconscious of these wounds. So the universe uses karmic relationships, which is two people who are, sorry if you can hear my radiator, it's cold here. Two people who are unconscious and therefore unconsciously projecting their wounds onto one another and triggering each other into awakening. So the universe uses these karmic relationships, these unconscious relationships, as a trigger to catalyze our awakening, so that we can have a conscious relationship with self and gain this self-awareness of our wounds, triggers, traumas, negative patterns, so that we can heal them, and so that we can now have conscious connections where we are no longer projecting them onto another person. And that's absolutely not to say that when you go through these karmic relationships and you begin this conscious healing journey and you gain this awareness with self, it's not to say that you'll never have relationships where you project things onto one another. Of course you will. That's always going to happen, and it's necessary, because for the progression of our consciousness, you're always going to have moments where you project a wound onto your partner or whoever, and you have this moment where you wake up and you realize, I have this wound I need to heal. And that's so necessary for the progression of our consciousness and our evolution. It's just that in these relationships, once you've reached this level of self-awareness, you will generally be able to reflect on these moments where you projected your wound, and you'll be able to realize what you did and then consciously heal. Whereas karmic relationships, they are entirely unconscious. You know, they're two people who usually have not awoken yet and have not begun any kind of conscious healing journey, any kind of conscious inner work journey. So the universe is literally just using these two people to trigger one another. So it's totally not to say that when you wake up and you have conscious connections that you won't be triggering one another. Of course you will. And that's so necessary. And as we go through life, we will be acquiring new wounds that we will need to become aware of. And so a triggering may be necessary so that we can then consciously heal them. That never ends. It just becomes more aware. It just becomes more conscious. So this is kind of the state that we're encouraging people to reach before they enter into relationships. Healing is absolutely a journey and it will never end, and we are not meant to be conscious in every second of every day. We're not meant to be, you know, we didn't come here to be completely conscious, because we came here to have a human experience and evolve our consciousness, and that often requires moments of unconsciousness so that we can then wake up and reflect and take the lessons and heal and evolve. A good example of a karmic relationship is the universe will often bring together somebody who has an abandonment wound with somebody who has commitment issues, because they are in perfect alignment to trigger each other's major wounds. So when you are in this place of unawareness, say you're the person who has the abandonment wound and you're completely unaware of your wound, you know, you've kind of not gone through any kind of spiritual awakening, you are not on a conscious healing journey, and so you have this wound that you probably acquired from childhood and you're totally unaware of it. What the universe will do is it will naturally attract to you somebody who has commitment issues, because they are in perfect alignment to trigger you. And when we are unconscious of our wounds, the thing we need is to be triggered, because we need to be triggered in order to wake up to something. So the universe will bring those two people together literally just for the reason, just for the purpose of triggering one another into this awakening, so that they can become conscious of their wound and consciously begin healing it. So that is a karmic relationship. These relationships are literally designed to push us back to a conscious relationship with ourselves, to push us back to our healing journey, which inevitably leads us back to self-love, which is knowing our worth, knowing our value, and standing within that very solidly, and being conscious with ourselves and our wounds, patterns, insecurities. And because of this conscious state with self, we are now in alignment with a conscious connection with another person, because we have a conscious connection with ourselves. So now you're in alignment with a union that is not free of wounds or triggers or anything ridiculous like that. It's just more conscious. So though you will trigger one another, the entire purpose of the relationship is not to be used by the universe to trigger you. So it's a more conscious union where you can actually cooperate and work through things together. Because you've got two people who have self-awareness, they are able to communicate their wounds and actually work through them together. Whereas with a karmic relationship, because you've got two people who are very unconscious and unaware of themselves and also their partner, so they aren't aware that their partner has wounds that they're projecting, it's very hard for those two people to cooperate and work through things together. So when we reach this level of awareness with ourselves along our healing journey, and we're really aware of our major patterns and wounds, when something new comes up, because you're in a conscious situation with somebody, you're both able to actually communicate these things to each other and work through them together. So that's another kind of result of beginning the conscious healing journey and reaching a level of awareness with your wounds. You know, we'll never be free of wounds and insecurities, and we'll even acquire more during our life. It's literally just that it becomes more conscious. And even sometimes it isn't conscious in the moment, but you are in a place of self-awareness that you are able to, when these things come up, you're able to then realize what has happened and take responsibility for it rather than projecting it outward onto another person. So it's not like it no longer exists, it's just at such a level of awareness that you are taking responsibility for it and not projecting it onto another person. It never ends. The healing journey never ends. You know, I'm very self-aware and I still have to work through insecurities every single day of my life. The only difference is I'm no longer projecting them outward. You know, I see them, I know them, I understand them, and so I don't project them outward. I take responsibility for them and I work on them. So healing really is a journey, absolutely not a destination. So that's what we mean when we're talking about healing before entering into relationships. So I hope this has helped you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.